stuff. I don't believe you, FIA. You have sold us upstream before each and every single time. We're going to get better racing. The cars are going to be more nimble and agile. We're going to do this with ERS and this with DRS. And yet and still we get processions. Monaco was just last weekend, eh? The top 10, this is the first and only time in F1 history where the top 10 have started and remained the bloody same. What are we doing here? FIA, I don't trust you. Listen, it would be remiss of me to say that Toto Wolff is the only boy who cried wolf, because the FIA drinking from the same cup. It is all falsification in each and every single time. I believed Ross Brawn last time, for Pete's sake, in 2021 when he said he was going to do all of this. We're going to reduce the outwash. Cars will be easier to follow. We're going to get more competition. Whatever happened to that, FIA? What are we doing? What is it with all these false promises and false prophecies? I can't believe them again. Each and every single time, it is the Toto, the boy who cried wolf. I just can't believe them anymore. Unreliable narratives. What are we doing, Jay? Leroy, help me make sense of this, because today, of course, they've announced new technical specifications for 2026. More emphasis on the bloody engines, more emphasis on sustainability, more emphasis on learnings, lessons learned even, that can be applied to the real world. So it turns out then that we're getting flat underbodies. No more is ground effect, or at least it will be less of an issue in this iteration of car. That's techie, eh? I want to talk of the sustainable stuff, but then yet again we get such a paradigm shift in the rules and regs. That can't speak to efficiency, surely. Unless I'm the one that's crazy. Andre, am I missing something? Let's go through super quickly because I've got a cheeky summary in front of me. Smaller cars, tick. I like that. Wheelbase reduced from 3,400 millimeters to 3,600. Tick. Love that. Maybe now they can do some overtaking round Monaco. Maybe, or maybe not, if past this prologue. And the FIA are still the unreliable narrators that they have been for the past I don't know how many years. Minimum weight reduced by 30 kilograms. Tick. More agile. I like the sound of that. 18-inch tyres to remain. Tick. I like that. Front tyres are reduced by 25 millimeters. The rears by 30 millimeters as far as their width. Again, in washing instead of out washing. That sounds brilliant. Now maybe these cars, F1 cars in the premium motorsport formula, now maybe they can follow each other, and now maybe we can get some overtaking around, say, I don't know, Monte Carlo, say. Aerodynamics, downforce reduced by 30%, drag reduced by 55%. Tick. Sounds very sexy, sounds lovely. If indeed you are invested in a motorsport formula that we can get overtaking around, stakes, uncertainty, automotive pugilism, for Pete's sake, like we saw in the great years 2021, 1994, 89, 88 and 90 as an example. If you want to get, or if F1 historian-y. Active aero, so this is where we get techie. Chat, what are you saying, Jay? No, they needed to almost half the width. Yeah, I agree with you, Jay. Listen, I could have done with smaller ones still, but this is progress, right? Steps in the right direction. Now let's look at the steps in the wrong direction. What's all this active aero about? You guys tell me in the chat. Active aero? What? Haven't the drivers already said in their simulations of this iteration that active aero just made the car super techie to drive? Twitchy, snap oversteer to understeer, the likes of which we've seen most recently in a W14 iteration. What are we doing? The drivers currently on the grid jumped in the sim and tested this and said it was undrivable with active aero. What is active aero anyway? What, you're going to make the rear wing no DRS, by the way, that's gonzo, or DRS to an extent. It's like the whole of the rear wing plate is now movable, part of ERS, like they've blended ERS and DRS. Like, what is that even? DRS, okay, so you'd argue that it was contrived, it wasn't real racing, but sometimes, because of the drive to survivors, sometimes you just want to see an overtake, right? Ultimately, the optics, I mean, you're kind of agnostic, aren't you? If you see 0 overtakes, then surely a DRS overtake is better than nothing. Surely? Check my maths here. Maybe I'm being too drive to survivation. Maybe I'm falling. Maybe I am becoming a part-time casual more than I am a part-time diehard. But surely we want to see overtaking. Even if it is DRS, I would contend for the judge and jury that some overtaking, even if it is at the hands of DRS or ERS or whatever, contrived overtaking is yet and still better than no overtake. Nobody wants a repeat of Monte Carlo. The top 10 on the grid, how they started is how they finished. Yeah, course, because that incentivizes me to watch F1. Not like I've got other things to go and watch. No WWE or NFL or women's NBA or NBA finals. It's not like there is the competition is hotting up for attention dollars in June of 2024. Behave yourself, FIA. What are we doing here? And I desperately don't want to come on here and do scorched earth every single time, but they cheese me off. The FIA leave me with no option, as always. Because if past this prologue, all of this stuff is just words on paper, and ultimately in the delivery, which is all important, execution is what matters here. Theory is all good on paper, but it dwindles down to nothing if practice and execution isn't proper. And I feel like that's what we've got, and that's what the 2021 regulations have fallen foul of. But I digress. Aerodynamics down 30%, drag reduction down by 55%. So these cars, therefore, are going to be more difficult to drive now. 2,000, that's 2 meters. Yeah, 2 meters. Well, 1.9 meters now, Jay. Active aerodynamics with me. Here we go. Here's where it gets techie. And again, diehards, cover your ears as far as all this active aero nonsense. Look at this. Active aero with movable elements on both rear and front wings that can be activated on straights regardless of the distance to the car ahead. What? What are you saying? What are we doing here? Is this F1 or is this Formula E? Honest question, non-rhetorical. What are we doing here? I don't understand. You guys in the chat are going to have to help me. Tell me if you're a fan of this active aero nonsense. It sounds like Formula E, doesn't it? Are they going to allow us to poll vote who gets the extra portion of ERS? How are they going to decide this? Are they taking the power and control out of drivers' hands? Surely that's not the way we want our sports formula to be. This sounds like X Factor more than it does Formula One. I don't understand. They're doing the most over here, and I get they're trying, and Cameron, stop being so harsh on them. But this active aero on both front and rear wings. What? What do we do? Come on, FIA. We're better than this. This is 2024, 2026 when you're looking to institute these rules and regs. What are we doing here? Rear wing will have 3 element active components. Front wings will have 2 elements active components. Do I not like this? It just sounds weird, doesn't it? Who controls that? And when do you get access to it? Like, what are we doing? Surely the one good thing about DRS was that you had to work for it right. Stay within 1 second, you get the extra brake horsepower courtesy of the DRS, the reduced drag on the straights. What now? How do we control this? I know they spoke to this on the press conference that they did, the very unsexy YouTube video that the FIA put up. But I'll be honest with you, I was trying to dissect it and deep dive it and understand what's going on, and I was falling asleep. Like, honestly, look, if the FIA, if how exciting that PowerPoint presentation is indicative of what we're going to get in 2026, then the Cameron F1 channel might have to go away, because I can't. Like, I would rather watch paint dry than I would listen to that PowerPoint presentation again. Take some advice from George, surely. Mr. Russell of Kings Lynn, Norfolk, first of his name, because that PowerPoint presentation was dry as sand. The front wings will be 100 millimeters narrower. Cool. Sounds good. In washing, not out washing. Take that, easier to follow should be the cars on the back of that. Lower powered diffusers, all right, whatever. Again, focus on making sure that these cars can follow all of a sudden. But You know what? If past his prologue, I wouldn't. Don't hold your breath, F1 fans. Floors must be partially flat, reducing elements. There we go. So floors flat. So again, I think that's positive. But again, contradictions left, right, and centre. If sustainability is all, if that's the modus operandi going forward, then why are we switching up again? We're just in a back and forth discussion with my co-host on the Shakedown. That episode will come out soon. And ultimately, surely we get the best racing if past is prologue towards the latter stages of a rule and reg set. So why not extend then this rule and reg set? Why do we need to flipping switch it up yet again in 2026, Jay? What are we doing? Like, honestly, chat, this is nonsense. What's Nawal saying? Just when you think it can't get any. Nawal, what is this timing is almost as bad as Checo Perez's 2-year contract extension. I don't even understand why we're doing this now. You guys will remember 2021 was one of the best seasons in F1 history. True or false? And then we go and change it all up again. Can you imagine if they'd kept those rules as they were? Stasis. Can you imagine the rematch in 2022? Yet and still the FIA, as they always do, seize defeat from the jaws of victory. That would have been blockbuster. That would have done more for F1 than Drive to Survive ever could as far as the competitive landscape, its mainstream crossover. Is Lewis going to take it back? Is Matt? Would have been bonkers. Yet and still, missed opportunity yet again. FIA cannot help themselves, can they? Front wings, lower power diffusers. Floors must be partially flat, reducing the impact of ground effect. Okay, cool. Nice. Sounds good on paper, but I won't hold my breath. Engines, they say. And again, shout out to Jeppy H. Olsen, legend of Twitter, from whom I'm gleaning / borrowing all of this. Go and follow that chap. Engines, increasing electrical engine power. And again, this is all in the name of sustainability. But how can it be? How can the umbrella term be sustainability? If we keep on bloody chopping and changing. This is worse as far as a random walk iteration than the Mercedes design philosophy. Continuous improvement surely means that you need to work continuously in one direction. Have a line of channel. Nope, no chance. Not the FIA. And I don't want to go scorched earth each and every single time on them. But surely at this point they are worthy of criticism. False promises each and every single time. Bruce, you're a legend, far too kind. It doesn't matter what they do to the cars. Stroll will still find a way to put it in the wall. But go on then, Bruce. I will see you that and I'll raise you this on Lance Stroll. Again, I'm a big fan. I don't want to get into the F1 is a young man's game thing. We talked about this on the last stream, right? But over the past 3 races, you've seen how Fernando Alonso has qualified versus his younger teammate, Nepo baby Lance Stroll, right? Hasn't done too well. If memory serves correctly, Lance Stroll is 3-zip on Alonso. Oh, the humanity. What? You mean to tell me that Lance Stroll is a quicker qualifier than Fernando Alonso? Oh, the humanity indeed. I feel like even saying that, those words coming out my mouth, that I must be operating in some sort of parallel dimension. As highly as I rate Fernando El Plano, I know he's never, similar to Lewis, he's never been, qualifying's never really been his strength, has it? Not as versus his racecraft, but yet and still, Lance Stroll out qualifying him 3 times consecutive. Fact check me on that. I heard somebody say it and I just thought, what? That cannot be right. Somebody needs to go and fact check me to 2 decimal places. Engines. Okay, and here's this. This bit is key if we're talking about a reshuffling of the competitive landscape, because we know, for the avoidance of doubt, that Red Bull has materially less expertise and heritage as far as producing power units versus their longer in the teeth rivals being Mercedes, Scuderia, Ferrari. Lump McLaren into that because of course they will have a Mercedes power unit. Honda will be giving a power unit to Aston Martin, and that's where it gets techie, ladies and gents. That is where we may see a levelling of the playing field, because the focus in 2026 will be much more, the emphasis even much more on these power units. Please see 2014. That's why Mercedes got the jump, isn't it? Split turbo settings. Kenny, you're too kind. Active aero is literally what teams were doing with flexi wings, just controlled, just as DRS was controlled after active aeros manually triggered. Go on then, Kenny. Thank you so much for enlightening me on that. I feel like I knew, but is that what we want, really? The manual triggering of it. Who controls it? Because the way I heard it in the presentation, it sounded like it would be controlled by like it won't be the drivers. I don't know. This all sounds like chaos to me. I need to get to grips with it properly, Kenny. Like do some proper due diligence, Cameron. But again, the engagement or lack thereof in the official FIA presentation didn't necessarily, for me, it didn't facilitate. It didn't give me a lot of confidence, let's say. Again, for the avoidance of doubt, if 2026 is as engaging as that PowerPoint presentation was, courtesy of the FIA, then we have two hopes. Slim and none. Maybe rubbish. Engines, increasing electrical engine power, decreasing combustion engine power. That is interessante. Removal of the MGUH. Mercedes. Please see Mercedes. Please see Ferrari. 100% sustainable fuel. Take that. There's your sustainability bit. The amount of energy that can be recovered during braking doubled. And again, a lot of the speedy stuff and those bloody active aero is to make sure that when they're braking, that they're increasing the rate at which ERS, like they're optimizing for ERS. And again, tick that. Love that. Sustainability. I love a bit of that. Green energy and all that. The amount of energy that can be recovered during braking doubled. Read that already. Manual override mode, which increases the electrical power deployment for overtaking cars. Okay. You know what? I'll reserve judgment. Safety. Okay, always love a bit of safety because F1 can never be safe enough, particularly 30 years post the death of one Ayrton Senna de Silva. Revised front impact structure regulations. Take that. Side intrusion protection. Take that. Increased roll hoop load requirements from 16 to 20G. Absolutely take that. Homologated rear wing end plates. Lights are to be more visible. All right, then I'll take that. But you know what? Yet again, for the avoidance of doubt, I will reiterate, I am holding my breath with the FIA. We need to get rid of DRS and just race. Let's go, Noel. Said it more succinctly and better than I ever could. Whatever happened to back in the day? Racing was good back in the day. I don't want to sound like the old man at the bar talking about back in my day, things were so much better. But I can't help it. We've been sold a dream about better racing, reduced outwash, easier to follow cars, lighter, more agile. I've heard this before. FIA has spun us this yarn on many different occasions. What am I to do at this stage? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I can't believe this. This is the same tone you hear me when I talk about, you hear me leveraging even, when you hear me talking about Mercedes and Toto, the boy who cried wolf. I can only believe the same line so much until I start to see action. And that's all we want as an F1 community from the bods that are the FIA. But how can I believe them? Look at their most recent track record. Mohammed Ben Sulayem, still head of the regulatory body, and too kind, by the way, Noah. Thank you so much. But look at Mohammed Ben Sulayem. A fish stinks from the head down, some will say, particularly as far as the infrastructure of the regulatory body of Formula One that is the FIA. Mohammed Ben Sulayem still running around like he's Beyonce to everybody else's Kelly Rowland. So addicted is that fella to attention seeking and kikiing with the winning driver, whomever that happens to be that race weekend. What are we doing? So that's the dude that I'm supposed to be invested in. That he and his minions underneath him have a handle, a genuine handle on the future of Formula One, the premier motorsport formula in all of the world. I cannot. I fool me once. I cannot and I shall not. Mohammed Ben Sulayem. Did you guys see the picture that he posted on Instagram to celebrate however many years of the Bahrain Grand Prix with Max Mosley and all these other shady characters? What? He's so tone deaf and insensitive. He can't see past his nose, that chap. Zero awareness of social sensitivity. just in his own world. Trump turning up for whatever your political persuasion, yeah. Him telling Lewis and Vettel that they need to back down as far as their political protest because F1 is supposed to be apolitical, and then rocking up at the Miami Grand Prix and grandstanding with Mr. Make America Great Again. I mean, what are we doing? Contradiction in terms any. There was once a man called Hippocrates. No, FIA should manage safety and on-track racing, and that's it. Bring back Jean Todt. Surely then the world. That was the guy. Competence is all he was interested in. None of this attention seeking and being front and centre. But that's what we're left with until December 2025, apparently, unless this chap gets re-elected, which probably won't happen. Commerce is the game. Also in regs, says Jay, tricks to make for close racing. Jay, at this point, mate, on the back of the Monaco race weekend that was like, what else? Mate, I just want to see race. I don't really care about them. However you make it happen, just make it happen. If it's ERS and DRS, a combination of the aforementioned. If it's one, if you need to increase the rate at which ERS, I do not. I just want to see cars racing and overtaking each other on track, like it used to be back in the day. Now, is that too much to ask for? I'm not sure it is. Okay, now 26 regs are a bit. Must admit, they're a bit sneezy, aren't they, McLaren? They sound good on paper. I'm reading them and they sound a lot sexier than they did when the guy was reading them out on the bloody YouTube. I was watching Tomo try to make something of it on his stream, bless him. It's like, Tomo's just like, yeah, that sounds good. Like, so hard to do a watch along to anything FIA related because they are snooze fest in their nature. In other news, let me tell you this quickly. I just saw an article about Carlos Sainz. There is a Spanish periodical publication even saying that Carlos Sainz has signed with somebody on a multi-year contract. I am presuming, if we're going to connect the dots behind the scene, that will be Williams, courtesy of James Vowles and the promises and the Mercedes engine and Alex Albon. Techie though, that. I was just saying to Shez and Baxty, Carlos Sainz at Williams. I don't know, visual. Does that even sound right? Am I not in a parallel dimension? It feels wrong. And again, my guy Peter Windsor has talked about all not being right in the world and the mostly harmonious pairing that is Carlos Sainz Jr. and modern day Jean Alesi, that you separate them to put the marketing behemoth that is Lewis Hamilton in that car. That's your leg one of the unsettling feeling. The leg two is that Carlos Sainz Jr. on the back of his epic comeback from appendicitis removal, 25 points at Australia. Now he's unemployed. Now apparently signed with potentially Williams. Do I not like that? And we know F1 is a shark's tank of a formula, of a sport even. But, I mean, what do we do? Sainz at Williams. What? What are we doing? No fair, F1. The guy's 29, 30 years old, right? And again, however long he's signed that contract for, Williams will not get anything done as far as silverware between now and 2028. And even 28 might be a tad ambitious. So what are we doing? I don't know. FIA isn't supposed to be entertaining. This is the point, Andre. This is exactly my point, chap. But I can't read them. What are we doing? Is it drive to survivation, or are we like, Andre? I can't read them, mate. And this is my problem. Mr. Windsor is going to have a field day, yeah, and Scarbs. Scarbs will be. Mr. Windsor will not be happy in the world. The only mistake with these regs are that the time weight reduction isn't drastic enough. But visual, we said that last time. I don't visual. You know what? I don't share your optimism, chat. But you know what? We will wait and see with bated breath. I'm going to go and watch a driver's press conference. We will talk to that at 10 a.m. British Standard Time, GMT, tomorrow morning. Between now and next time, remember as always to look but never stare. But I digress.